If you ever have tried in a moment of agitation, just going out into the garden or staring out of your window and looking at that color green, or at the blue of the swimming pool or the ocean, or the blue of the sky, there's an energy that passes into you that just slows everything down. You kind of slip into an aha moment. I haven't talked about that for a while. That aha moment when everything is just perfect. There's just harmony. There are no problems. There are no thoughts. You sit by the ocean. Remember, we went and sat and did the evening meditation. You sit by the ocean, you just listen to the sound of the waves, something that keeps repeating. And there's a sense that life is permanent, that there's no time, because in that moment you've gotten out of your mind. You've escaped your mind and moved into what I call the superintelligence, the supreme intelligence, that which controls everything. The elders, the sages, the seers, they realized that all of humanity is so interconnected, so closely interconnected, that 5,000 years ago, when the humans created the entire pantheon of gods in India, to each god they attached a flower or a fruit and an animal. So with Ganesha it was a rat. With Shiva it's a bull. With Saraswati it's a swan. Similarly, with each puja that you do, which each god that you worship, you have to use a different specific plant. And that was their way of preserving certain essential creatures on this earth. They understood very early that our lives are very closely connected to the animals around us, that it's all an interconnected web which we cannot break. What has happened in recent years is that we have lost our connection with the world that supports us, with the world we live in. We've completely lost that connection. It's too hot for most of the year. That's my excuse for not sitting outside. Oh, I'm sweating. We don't walk anywhere. We take cars wherever we go. We don't travel in trains and buses. We go by air. And even when we're traveling, we're not even staring out the window 3/4 of the time that we're traveling, looking at our phone. I recently took a train ride. And the little time that we could stare outside, I noticed that my daughter was looking at her phone. She can't help it. This is the modern era. It's not her. It's the entire generation that, sets aside a weekend a month for treks or doing something natural. We're not connected to the earth we live in. We don't spend enough time in nature. We don't take pleasure in being outside. Sometimes I wonder why the news is filled with stories of how they protect dogs and cats, but not cows and chickens. Why not? Why are we being so selective in the animals we want to protect and save? We'll do whatever it takes, send a contingent flying to Malaysia to save, or some country, North Korea, to save dogs from being eaten. But we'll grow hundreds and thousands of cattle to be killed. Never makes any sense to me. Never makes any sense to me why we live a lifestyle of so much waste and so much extra when with very little regard for our children and our grandchildren. What are we leaving our, for what is our legacy to our children and our grandchildren? The seas are rising. There is global warming. And the generation and the country and the technology that accepts this and plans and prepares for it is the smartest one. At best, we have 1,000 years on this earth. At best, given the current resources, the current warming. After that, you might say, I don't care. I'm gone. I'm going to die in 20 years. But it's not that easy. You're coming back. You're coming back. If you haven't reached nirvana, if you haven't reached moksha, you're here again. You're going to see what's going to happen to this earth. You're going to face the consequences of your own actions. So in your own way, you have to connect. A sense of belonging only pertains to our home, So we used to live in this apartment in Bombay, and in the middle of the apartment they call it a chowk. It'll be like an opening, right? And very often you'd be cooking and you'd look, people would be throwing their rubbish food out into the chowk. And I could not understand. Their homes are spick and span and they're throwing this food out. It's like our belonging or our sense of our area is only that much. We keep that clean. The rest of it we couldn't care less about. We're not bothered about. We're not bothered about. People make fun of all the activists, right? I saw an ad in the Super Bowl of Melissa McCarthy being an activist. Did you see that ad? Trying to save this, trying to save that planet. Yeah, they go through a really hard time because nobody wants to waste their time on anything that doesn't make money. It's all about money. You're going to, pass from this earth and you're going to look down and find that you can't take that money. Someone else is using it. Someone else is staying in your house. Someone else is driving your car. Someone else is doing something. It's not going to last forever. But this earth, we have to stop thinking of as a resource and start thinking of as the source. It is the source. It is where the divine has infused the same universal energy that runs through you and me. At what point we stopped caring, I don't know, but it's time to wake up. It is time to connect. What would you do if the earth refused to support your weight? You walk confidently. Why? Because you have the faith that the next step you take, the earth is going to support you. Every morsel of food that you take, every bit of nourishment comes from this earth. Yet we don't have any respect for it. We live our lives trashing the environment. I was recently in the city of Pondicherry. Pondicherry used to be a French province. And so they have the inner city, which is still, like a protected place. And the streets are like, you're walking down Coral Springs or something like that. It's clean as anything. You go one street to the other side, and it's outside the city limits, and it's filled with trash. Paper cups and plastic and food and all kinds of stuff on the floor. In the country that placed so much importance on being in harmony with the earth, with the world that they live in, that very country is just a garbage dump. Too many people, and no one cares. We have stopped caring about anything other than ourselves. My needs, my wants, beyond everything else. Forget about the earth. Who is going to care about the earth? There was a time in this country when Native Americans moved from one place to another place to another place. There was no possession of land. The whole universe, earth was theirs. And as long as it was theirs, it was a land of plenty. The minute possession came into it, that's when all the differences have started rising. This belongs to me. That belongs to you. You don't come here. If you come here, I'll use my gun and I will keep you out. I, need my gun. I need, to protect myself. And land, which was something that was available to everybody, now is only a privilege of the rich. The poor don't have land. The poor don't have access to water, clean water. There are some villages in Africa and India where people have to walk, half an hour, 1 hour each day to get a pot full of clean water. We need to think of that when we have our 20-minute showers. When we leave the water running while doing the dishes. When we have, Olympic-sized swimming pools in our backyards. We don't pay for, we're paying a little bit for water now. Water should have been a free resource. It's something that comes naturally from the land. But we have polluted our waters to such an extent that it has to be purified before we drink it again. They say that the Ganga is a very special river because of the amount of oxygen that it possesses. It can decontaminate anything. That is why the waters of the Ganga are so revered. And no matter how much it's polluted, it has healing powers. Because there's a lot of oxygen in the water that detoxes. But if we keep polluting everything, what are we going to leave? What is our legacy? Land is getting smaller and smaller, homes are getting smaller and smaller now. The last resource is the air we breathe. We'll have to start paying for that too. Belongingness is not just about your family or your community. We have to spread the idea of belongingness beyond borders. That my country is just for me and outsiders stay out. My home is just for me. I won't let anybody in. I know my grandmother, on a daily basis, some 15-20 people would eat in her home. Anyone who came stayed for lunch, stayed for dinner. We're not that welcoming. We're not that welcoming. If somebody drops in, you're looking at your watch, waiting for that person to leave. You want to be prepared for any visitors. Your food doesn't extend, your heart doesn't extend. Our sense of belonging doesn't extend. It's almost as if you say, my thumb doesn't belong to me. How do you say that one portion of your hand is not your own? This little pinky doesn't belong to me. That's how I feel, when I get, I have a very extended sense of belonging. So if I get to know somebody, unless they've really wronged me in some way, I embrace a lot of people and I'm ready to do for a lot of, and I get very puzzled when I don't receive the same treatment back. And it took me a while to realize that my sense of belongingness is a little different from others. And that's not their fault, it's the way things are in this world. Things are becoming smaller, your circle is getting smaller. It's I, me, myself. But we have to think about how we can connect more to the earth. I know that doing your meditation outdoors is a different experience. Because in India, just when you leave the window open and the breeze comes in and you can hear the sound of birds, in the early morning the car sounds are not there. That itself makes the meditation sweet. It makes it very sweet. We should leave our windows open a little bit when we're doing our sadhana. Try and get some fresh air into your home. Try and get out for a little walk around the neighborhood. Go to the bridge, look at the water and come back. These kind of things, these are aha moments. For the next few days, when you see the color green, take an aha moment. Just a moment when you stop and you just admire the world that you live in. No, we can't save the world. No, we can't change how people think. But by the purity of our thoughts, our own thoughts, perhaps we can affect some change. When times are not good, the only thing you can do is to spread joy and cheer wherever you go, not doom and gloom. Not doom and gloom. Smile as much as you can. Lift people up as much as you can. There are enough people putting you down. And yes, a lot of things are happening in this world that we cannot help. But to the extent possible, if we do it in our little world, by example, it spreads. If we meditate, if we keep our energy positive, that spreads. And that's the only thing you can do. That's the only thing you can do. We may not be able to make the whole world listen to us, but let's make our world one in which we belong.